Well, the way they talking about,
Well, my man MoneyBoy Trey in the building. He said, hit that like or we gon' fight. Make sure you check him out on YouTube.
good morning, people. Good morning. I see we spent the night at Truth's last night. We did. Who told on me? Because I heard her coming back fussing, trying to explain, but I was dozing off. She was, but I called her out. I did. I called her out for all the time she done threw me under the bus. And hopefully when she come, I'm gonna get out in her business. I'm gonna put Tara on the hot seat if she show up this morning. I don't think she gonna show up because she probably still asleep and she old and stuff. But yeah, I'm gonna put her on the hot seat. I do have to say, shout out to you content creator women out there, because I fussed at y'all. I guess it was however long ago it was, a week or two, and I fussed at y'all at being nosy, being tempted to watch the lady. And I've noticed ain't nobody since I fussed at y'all. Y'all have been on it. I ain't heard nobody mention that lady or responded at least. Good job, ladies. Good job. Y'all are the real MVPs. Come on to everybody in the chat. We got some strange news stories. Start. Of course, y'all know what's gonna be included in a couple of them. We got these teachers, these female teachers out here diddling people. I don't know why this goes unlooked or untalked about. All right, the first one. Harris County judge faces charges for secretly helping a death row inmate get an MRI. What the fuck? She facing charges for helping a person get medical care. I don't give a damn if it was secret or not. The motherfucker needed medical care. So are we saying the jails, the system, the Department of Justice, or whoever it is, they don't give a fuck about inmates' health care? They don't provide MRIs. They don't give a fuck if you die or not. Let's listen. But I just off the title, I'm like, wait a minute. This motherfucker is facing charges for helping somebody, not getting bribes. She wasn't giving them money. She wasn't giving them contraband or nothing. She got the nigga a medical procedure, a MRI, a test.
Bond, a Harris County criminal court judge, could be criminally charged herself after being accused of taking unprecedented measures to get a convicted mass murderer on death row and MRI without the state's knowledge.
Fox 26's Reddy Wallace joining us live from the courthouse with the latest in his ongoing series.
Yeah, Ross, 351st Judge Nana Cornelio doesn't have to worry about what voters think.
She sound black.
Bending over backwards for one of Houston's most notorious mass murderers. She's on the ballot, but she's running opposed. She's going to be a judge for the next 4 years, and voters can't stop it. In its motion to recuse Judge Nana Cornelio in the case of death row inmate Ronald Haskell, prosecutors claim she didn't want anyone, not even the state, to know what she was doing. In 2014, Haskell killed his ex-sister-in-law, her husband, and 4 children.
Entire family wiped out. I mean, methodically, he's putting people down one by one by one. And by some sort of miracle, a 15-year-old girl managed to survive.
And she was the one who...
I don't need all this backstory. What does this have to do with this man needing an MRI?
Alerted the DA's office after victim services told her Haskell had been moved from the Polonsky unit in Huntsville to the Harris County Jail on a bench warrant signed by Judge Cornelio.
Purportedly for a court setting to occur on July 22nd.
Did that ever happen?
Good morning, Miss Lynn.
There was never any court setting in this case during the 3 weeks that Ronald Haskell was in the Harris County Jail.
What Judge Cornelio wanted, according to court filings, was to get Haskell an MRI. Cornelio, who opposes the death penalty, apparently told the DA's office years ago before becoming a judge, she thought Haskell was, quote, sick. These are pictures of Haskell unshackled, surrounded by other patients in a waiting room at a Texas Mental Center MRI facility. Nobody around him knew that.
Y'all overreacting. He killed his family and them for a reason. He ain't mad at them people in the waiting room. He ain't hurt nobody since he in jail. He killed those people for a reason. Y'all overreacted. But still, how else is he supposed to get medical treatment without being around other people and having to wait? He can't just skip the goddamn line. I'm still trying to figure out what the big deal of this is.
Death row inmate right next door.
Look, I agree with you. I think it is galling to look at those photographs of Ron Haskell being paraded through a private MRI facility anytime.
Now, doing all of this that they're talking about, there's guards there with him. The man isn't unattended. There are armed guards with this nigga. But they saying he being paraded around. No, he's shackled in handcuffs and leg shackles, so he can't touch nobody, so he can't escape. It's niggas there with pistols. What the fuck is the problem? I don't get it. There go my good sis. How you doing? Hey, good sis.
Morning.
We enjoyed the sleepover last night. We enjoyed sleepover last night. I heard. Did you have some smoke for me, ma'am, when you came back from cupcaking on the phone? You were gone about 40 minutes. That she ain't got nothing to say. I'm gonna get her, y'all. I'm gonna get her. Because she been
Hello, can you hear me?
and throwing me
Can you hear me?
the bus. I can now. Yes, now.
Okay, what'd you say? What'd you say?
I said, did you have some smoke for me or something last night from something I said when you was gone cupcaking on the phone? You had left the panel and I had some words for you.
Oh,
I just want to know if you had some smoke.
let me speak to the chat right quick because I'm gonna be cordial with them, but I'm finna cut your ass out. Hey y'all, how y'all doing? So
Play the
I heard
clip.
you. No, I don't play no clip. I heard you call me a hoe.
I may have used those words.
So you called me a hoe.
I may have used those words, but I called you a hoe out of love. It was one of them. I understand my sis.
Really?
I don't know if I could have said them words. It sounds like something I said. I don't want to say I didn't, but I'm
gonna go back.
recall it. I think I said it.
I'm gonna go back and call the roll
I think
and
I
play
said
the
it.
clip. Yeah, so you called me a hoe.
Nah, because well, you called me a hoe.
When?
Every show you called me a hoe.
That's not true.
Every single show.
I only call you a hoe.
I was really.
I only call you a hoe when you are exhibiting hoe behaviors. I don't just do it all willy-nilly. I don't.
Well, man, we was talking about a swingers club and you may be partaking in some swingers activity. But what stood out to me was you was like, well, you know, if OG gets some pussy, why ain't there? I don't care. I said, No, Terry didn't just say that. And Terry is the one that run around saying if somebody is cool with you having sex with somebody else, they don't love you. I was like,
When did I say that?
You say that every fucking day. You say it every fucking day. And I tell you wrong about that. You always say it. And then you on my side where you like, I fuck with the nigga enough. I don't care what he do when he away from me. You wrong. You was on my side now. Y'all have heard Truth say this shit. She just said it though. I bet if I go back to the urban, the first church lady show y'all did, the men's versus the women's, I bet I find a clip of you saying it on there. And now you on my side.
I never
Yes.
said that, Trey. Play the clip. Call the roll.
Ladies and gentlemen, don't Truth always say if your partner is cool with you sleeping with somebody else, they don't love you, they don't care for you. You say
I
that
want
all
you to
the
play. I
time.
want you.
I
I
be
want you to play me.
eyes at you like you don't know what you be talking about.
I want you to play me saying that, Trey. Period. Play it.
You know what? What I do, I'm gonna go live and loop that bitch for an hour.
I don't care.
I'm gonna
Play
do a diva tomboyish and just have that junk on a loop for an hour.
it. Diva crazy.
I need somebody on the team. I'm pretty sure in the team, because we don't have to, she said in so many videos, go to Amanda's channel. It's gonna be in the first video, the men's versus women's. She gonna say that. She is. So y'all
Well,
remember the next day, I had told her she don't know what she be talking about. Said she was wrong. She
well,
don't know what she be talking about.
well.
Now look
I'm
at you.
going
Now
through a
look at you.
change. I'm going through a change, so maybe I change my mind.
I told you if throwing that ass in a circle make you happy, throw it. I'm
Trey,
not here to judge. Throw
you're
it.
not finna turn me into a hoe like you, Trey. I'm not doing it. You a hoe.
And then you had just told, and then right before you did that lie, you just told me to sit my ass down. Look at you. I ain't swinging. I will, but I ain't swinging.
We might well be swinging. Shit.
Nah. Nah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Nah.
Yeah, you are. Mm-hmm.
You so you going to a Diddy party for your birthday
It's not a
with
Diddy
no
party.
Diddy.
No
His
Diddy.
son's gonna be there.
It's
His
not a
son's be
Diddy.
there.
If his son's there, I'm leaving. They're too young.
It's still a Diddy party. Them is adults.
They're too
What
young,
you
Trey.
mean? Okay. So if a 22-year-old walk up to you, one of them Tyler Perry niggas that Tyler Perry be having in his movie, 22, walk up to you in the club, you tell him you too young.
Absolutely. I do. Now I may be
You
a hoe, but I'm
you
a
a
hoe with
damn
talent.
liar. You ain't gonna ask nobody their age in that
Right?
motherfucker.
I'm not fucking nobody younger than my children. I'm tired. I'm just
How
not
are you?
doing
So, but you know they're an adult. But if they look young, you ain't.
it.
You
If they
crazy?
look young,
So you going after all niggas with? So you going after niggas with gray beards?
gray beards are sexy.
So you want to a swinger club hoping you run into a nigga that's 60. It ain't gonna happen. It's
He ain't
gonna be
gotta be
young
60.
people in there. Truth.
He
It's
ain't
gonna
gotta be 60, but
be
I'm
people
not
in their
listen.
20 and 30s.
Well, I'm not doing no 20 or 30-year-old. I'm not doing it.
That's what's gonna be in there. Truth.
It gonna be some 40 and 50-year-olds in there. Don't do that.
Truth gonna be in there for you. Gonna get put out.
I'm not robbing no cradle.
You gonna get put out.
They ain't gonna put me out.
Man, 22 will do. I don't know what you talking about. Then get your groove back, Stella.
Trey, Stella, Trey, listen, you now see, I'm already trying to
It's just sex, Truth. It's
I'm
just
not
sex, Truth. That's
sexing
all
no
it is.
20-year-old. Are you crazy?
Truth is just sex, Truth. You gotta go back to the time when you was 20, how the sex was, and get you a 20-year-old. Yeah, see, because you fuck off 20, but the 20-year-old still 20, so the 20-year-old fuck the shit out of you.
I can't do it.
And then play the PlayStation.
See, that's what I'm saying. I can't fuck with nobody. Nope. I ain't ready to do it.
They Truth gonna be the first person to get put out the Swiss Club.
They not gonna put me out, Trey. I promise you that.
You gonna get put out because you like too young, too young, too young, too young. You do know it's some young people that look old and some old people that look young, right?
Well, as long as they don't look young, they good. If they young and they look old, then that ain't gonna be my fault.
So, what age are you not? What's your cutoff age?
You got to be 40 and up.
Oh, hell no! You going to an old folk? You need to find an old folk swingers club then.
That's all right. I will.
No.
Okay. Okay. You gotta be
True,
35. You gotta be
so you
35
doing
and
this
up.
shit all wrong. Listen to your big brother. You doing it all wrong. You better get you some young dick.
You gotta be 35
You're
and
not
up.
supposed to be old, getting old dick, ma'am. This beside the point of being old.
Trey, you not finna convince me. You not finna do it. You not finna convince me to be around here screwing no 20, 25-year-old. You crazy as hell. I'm not doing it.
It's just for a night, truth. Like you said, you will never see that person again.
That's true, but I would still remember it.
What would Jada Pinkett do?
Fuck Jada. She'll do it.
When she cheated, she could have had old niggas. She chose August young ass.
I'm not doing
hell?
it. And look at how August sitting up on panels in interviews crying now, telling all the business. See, I can't do
that. That's his ass, not her. She ain't
That's what I'm
crying. She
saying.
moved on.
That's what I'm saying. Them young boys here, I had one sitting up on somebody's panel telling all the business.
That wasn't a swingers. That wasn't a swingers situation, and he just all the celebrities. That's why he told. If she was a normal person, nobody would have gave a fuck.
And I still don't give a fuck. A lot of people still don't.
It's just because they always famous that people even gave a damn. Yes, older men are more experienced, Tanya. When you're whole, you don't care about experience. You want the useful exuberance.
Oh my God.
You want that useful exuberance where they just you just yeah.
Jay, you ain't shit.
A death row inmate is brought back to Harris County. All parties are told.
According to court filings, the only people who knew Haskell was in the Harris County Jail for 3 weeks was Judge Cornelio and Haskell's appellate attorney.
Even his attorney told him not to say anything. No one was supposed to know that he was here.
In a taped conversation with his mother, even Haskell questioned why all the cloak and dagger.
That he understood that this whole thing was supposed to be a secret. The state was not supposed to know. And he, in fact, was concerned for his own safety because apparently this was he almost got put in general population.
While Haskell has the right to bring up mental illness in his appeal, the judge's alleged actions are over the top.
Judge Cornelio has her thumb on the scale in an unfair.
She ordered the MRI because she believes the man is crazy. I guess it would be counterproductive to him being on death row. But why wasn't this MRI performed before trial if she felt that strongly about it? Why all this time later when he's on death row?
Okay, real time.
I still don't know what the big deal is. Huh?
So I just got a text message that reminded me of something. So listen, if you just
stop snitching, Flexi.
That's what oh my God. See, let me tell you first, Trey, what had happened was I was hacked last night. Last night around, I can't remember what time, I got a message. I'm gonna show it to you. It's a message that tells you that tells me that somebody hacking into my sheet, but it's a screenshot of it's a screenshot, but I got a message that I was being hacked last night. So if you just so happen to hear anything about that live stream last night, that wasn't me. That
It
wasn't
was
me.
hacked.
I was hacked. That's it.
It was the
That's now I
hackers.
got it out.
Okay.
I got it out. I was hacked.
Oh, okay. Because you don't want people to think you a hoe. It's okay.
No,
You was
no,
hacked. It's
no.
fine.
That wasn't me. That wasn't me. I was hacked.
They think I'm a hoe too. It's all good. Who cares?
So if you go and you hear some or somebody tell you something, just know that wasn't me. That wasn't me.
I got you. Y'all go check out it live.
Yeah, wrong.
Favorable manner to him.
Judge Cornelio could be charged with tampering with a government record. The bench warrant was for a court hearing that never happened. The hearing for the motion to recuse.
This story was a story about nothing.
Reporting live from the courthouse. Ray Wallace, Fox 26 News.
I don't get it.
They're stealing your stamp.
Government employees accused of EBT fraud as food stamp theft is on the rise.
And you know what? I know so many people here. Them folks is still they do trade. They steal them off your card when they hit your card. Baby, when you get up that morning to check your card, you ain't got the folks put them on there. And when people was getting up checking their card early in the morning, stamps was gone, spent up.
And they say it's the government employees doing shit. It ain't even regular
I
niggas.
knew
It's
it
the
had to
people
be.
that work
I
there.
knew it had to be an inside job. I knew it.
For cold blooded. There's other people getting caught up selling them 50 cents on the day. Somebody said they were selling them just 50 cents on the dollar. I was like, damn, they eating good.
Stamps. I just broke down saying someone stole all my money.
Thieves are getting away with millions of dollars. Food stamps wiped off of your EBT card in seconds.
I knew I had money on my card.
From this DHS worker allegedly caught changing PIN numbers to buy groceries for herself, to skimmers waiting for you to swipe at the counter.
Big inconvenience.
Shaver's getting down to the bottom of it and what the feds need you to do before you use your EBT card again. I'm Justin Carter. This is TSR Investigates. Feed their families. That's why the Secret Service and the FBI, they've been taking food stamp fraud seriously lately. Last year alone, $60 million worth of food stamp fraud was reported in the United States. So we at the Shade Room, we decided to piece together how these scamianas are doing it. Don't be fooled by the warm smile. What police say 57-year-old Nadine Jean-Baptiste did was stone cold. She was a principal clerk at the Department of Human Services in Rhode Island for over a decade. She supervised customer service assistants and had full access to EBT printing machines there. She knows the system.
It's a very big inconvenience.
For 4 years, police say Nadine accessed people's personal information to check their EBT card balances. She then went in and changed their PIN numbers so they used their cards.
So you gotta listen to him when he said she had access to the EBT printing machine. So she was checking their account, changing the password so when they tried to use it, it ain't work, or if they called in and tried to enter their password, it ain't work, and she printed a new card so that she could use it cold-blooded.
108 of them since January 2020 and balances. She then went in and changed their PIN numbers so that she could use their cards. 408 of them since January 2020. And investigators were onto her heavy. Here she is in June 2024, leaving the local market after using somebody else's EBT card. In July, she conducted 3 phone balance inquiries on another EBT card before going on a food run at a Stop and Shop. And here she is again at BJ's. The card she was using belonged to a man that was in jail, and she didn't do it alone. Police say her daughter, 27-year-old Octavia Jean-Baptiste, was also in on the scheme. They say she fraudulently used 95 EBT cards over the course of their years-long investigation. And the trick is, many of the victims' names were either kids eligible for the summer nutrition program, adults serving time in jail, or people reported deceased.
I mean, I was literally in Walmart crying.
Tracy Ransom, a Jersey.
Okay, well, she didn't get too many live victims. She didn't get too many live victims. It's a little different now. I feel a little different about it. She had niggas in jail, get them deceased, get them still against the law, but those are innocent victims. Well, but the kids though, now what she was using kids on other people's cases. She was cold-blooded with her jet, but they watched her for 4 years. This lady finna do a shit ton of time.
Native was shocked when she saw this $555 transaction on her food stamp card. Someone unknown used it at a grocery store in Harlem at 4:26 a.m.
So I wanted to see what my balance was to know.
Damn, bitch, how many food stamps you get? 568 was swiped at one time. Shit.
What I was going to spend in that store. And
Man,
when
she
I went
old
on
as a
the
bitch.
app and I checked my balance, I only saw $8.98, and I just broke down saying someone's.
Oh, okay. She added $8 to that.
So on my money.
She left Walmart empty-handed. She had 3 grandchildren to feed.
But I called the EBT provider, and they canceled my card. She told me that keep in mind that it's happened to a lot of people, and that form goes to the inspector general. Once they investigate or whatever, they will issue your stamps. And I'm like, what is there to investigate?
She is still waiting for her replacement funds. And so is Lithonia, Georgia. She has 4 kids herself.
All
I knew I
around
had
the
money in
country.
my card.
Somebody stole over $500 in funds from her on the same day, October 5th.
So I went on the app and I saw that 4 different transactions from a store in Bronx, New York at 5:36 a.m. on October 5th. They were over $120 transactions each.
They left her with 10 cents.
I just can't go and get the things that I need for me and my children because all my stamps is gone.
Data from the U.S. Department of Agriculture found that over 125,000 households across the nation reported SNAP benefit theft last year. States like New York hit the hardest with $17 million in theft in 2023 alone. This year, Maryland, Illinois, Texas, Georgia are also up there. Here's Karen Ransom, special agent in charge for the U.S. Secret Service.
But a lot of times what we see is that EBT and other payment card numbers are typically re-encoded onto phony cards that have triggers that allows an individual other than a cardholder to make purchases and in some cases withdraw cash.
Phishing and skimming is another big one. This family fell for a phishing scam in North Carolina when someone posing as a vendor offered them a free tablet and phone.
They took a picture of the EBT card and her driver's license and got our information. I think that's how it was because they were from New York.
These Romanian nationals were charged back in April, accused of installing skimming devices at ATMs and cash registers, cloning the cards, and using them for cash withdrawals.
I still haven't heard anything back from anybody about replacing the stamps or anything.
And that's the problem. Recipients are taking weeks, if not months, to either get a replacement card or replacement funds, which they say is unacceptable. Now, the federal government says the best line of defense in making sure that this doesn't happen to you and that you can get your money back is contacting your state's Department of Human Services. You can also call or submit a report to the Inspector General's office. Information that's listed at the bottom of your screen. For TSR Investigates.
All right, the next one. Missing TikTok mom found murdered outside Walmart in
A TikToker mom seemingly vanished
in Georgia.
on a Walmart shopping trip, and her last sign of life was this really eerie message that was sent from her phone to her boyfriend the night she disappeared. But then you fast forward 1 week after her disappearance, and her body is found. Her alleged killer, now behind bars. We're going to break down the complexities of this case with criminal defense attorney Meg Strickler. Welcome to Sidebar, presented by Law and Crime. I'm Jesse Weber. We have a really tragic situation we want to talk to you about out of Georgia, and a strange one, too. So we're talking about 25-year-old fitness TikToker, Manila Zoe Rodriguez Ramirez, called Mimi by her friends and family. She went on a shopping trip to Walmart that she never returned from. Her fiancé says that he received a suspicious text from her phone just days before she was found dead near the Walmart store in Cornelia, Georgia. This is a small town that's northeast of Atlanta. On the night of October 22nd, Ellis reportedly went to the Walmart to sell someone a photo she had taken. Not entirely clear what that was about, but according to a cashier, Ellis entered the store around 9:30 p.m. and she was texting her fiance, Julio Tover, while she was in the store. Eventually, Tover went to sleep, woke up the next morning, and saw that she hadn't come home. And when he checks his phone, he sees this text message reportedly from Manela's phone that just didn't look right to him. It read, "I am waiting for the brother to pick him up." And Tobor told the news outlet Now Habersham that this made him kind of suspicious because Manela didn't really talk like that. So a search was launched that same day, and authorities began to uncover clues as to what happened to this missing mother. Well, first of all, they found Ellis's vehicle pulled over to the side of the road near the Walmart on Hazel Creek Road. Then, according to now Habersham, witnesses told them that they saw a dark-colored SUV and a gold or yellow minivan next to Manela's vehicle at some point in time. Then, a few days later, and before they even found her body, authorities arrested this man, 24-year-old Angel de Jesus Rivera Sanchez, on charges of...
He sounds like an illegal. Sounds like damn illegal.
After this, the search for Manela's came to a tragic end. Police discovered her remains in a remote area across from that Walmart. Officials said they were able to identify her by her very distinctive tattoos. Now, obviously, there are many unanswered questions here. First of all, it's unclear who she's actually meeting up with at this Walmart. Second, we don't know if her alleged encounter was with this with somebody else. Was this random? Was there any kind of connection between her and the person who has been arrested? And we also don't know the cause or the manner of Manela's death yet, as we're waiting for the GBI Medical Examiner's Office to release the findings of that autopsy. But what we do know is that following the discovery of her remains, the GBI indicated that they intend to hold Rivera Sanchez accountable for this. According to their official release, Angel de Jesus Rivera Sanchez, 24, also of Cornelia, will be charged with murder in connection to Rodriguez Ramirez's death. He was booked into the Habersham County Detention Center. He could be facing more charges, we'll see. And Manila, though, I will tell you, she had more than 20,000 followers on TikTok. That's substantial. And she regularly posted on the app, including on the day that she went missing. I mentioned that she's the mother. She was the mother of a 9-year-old daughter, and she had moved to Georgia from Puerto Rico 6 years ago after being offered a job at a manufacturing company, Mount Vernon Hills, Inc. Her fiancé told Habersham now that Manela's treasured her daughter, talked about her often. In one video posted just days before her disappearance, she even spoke of her dreams for her. So you're seeing this is a really, really sad situation and a strange one. By the way, thank you for staying with us as we cover this story. I know it's not an easy one to hear, but it is an important one, and we always appreciate that. And look, I got to call out our sponsors because it's with their support that we're able to continue to do this. And with that, I've got to highlight our incredible partner, Morgan & Morgan. If you should get injured, America's largest injury law firm, they give you $12 million a phone. So if you're injured,
Yeah, it's up in the Northeast.
to talk more about this. Meg, thanks so much for coming on. First of all, you're this area where this happened. Good grief. Talk to me what you know about it or don't know about it.
Yeah, it's up in the northeast corner of Georgia. And yeah, I've been practicing Georgia for, a good minute. So I've been to this county a few times. I don't want to say a lot of times. And I had to look it up again. We have 158 counties in this state. So when I'm called about a client, I almost always whip out my map to see where this is. So it's rural. It's a bit, we call it mountainous. I know other states might giggle over that, but it's in the Georgia foothills mountains. So we call it mountains because in Atlanta it's flat. So it's a very pretty area. There's some pretty falls there, but it is a small town. So the fact that they're all from the same town makes me
Who cares
think
about the
there's more to
mountains?
this story
Thank you,
than what we're
Tanya.
initially hearing. She perhaps knew this individual.
I'm like you, Tanya. What the fuck do TikTok got to do with it? What is the mountains? And if y'all call them mountains and flats and bluff, like what the fuck does this have to do with this woman being murdered?
What do you think is going on here? I mean, the idea of going to a Walmart to sell a photo, he winds up dead. There's
A photo? Does she have somebody in a compromising position?
Text message. What are you thinking?
I can guarantee the Celebrate report that's taken from her phone and from the individual who's arrested's phone is going to be pivotal here because there's GPS coordinates on our phone. There's GPS coordinates. There's a text messages. There's the TikTok messages. There's the Instagram messages. There's all the direct messages. That's on the phone, and they can download it into a 100,000-page document and then search on it. So this will be, I think, the key. Okay. Also, the car found abandoned. If it's a newer car, there's like a black box on cars these days. So it'll tell you the coordinates of where the car had been. Not all cars have it yet, but we're in 2024, we're getting there. So I didn't read in any part of the researching this case, how old the car was or these kinds of things. But that's what the GBI is doing right now. And also video. There's videos everywhere. Walmart parking lots, you better believe there's video. And also, I understand we're selling a photo in that story too. But what does that even mean? I don't understand.
Damn right. She ain't no professional photographer.
That part.
The fact that her body was found a week later and it was so close to the Walmart, is that strange to you?
That is strange and very, very sad. I don't understand that. And maybe there was something, a red herring, that made law enforcement look over here and didn't look over here. That happens in investigations. They have an investigative thread and they just keep going down that thread and they didn't think to look over here. That's the only thing I can think of, is that they were really focusing on something else. And then when they started to realize it was this individual, they started looking over here. And you notice the time frame, he's arrested and the next day they find her remains. There's some, my guess is some information they were able to ascertain from him.
From him, right? Because he's brought up on kidnapping charges, then her body's found, and now there's talk about being charged with murder. You think he might have revealed something?
Yeah, or his phone again, or family members, or just more.
Don't get his phone, but shit back
to quit. Who knows? Because you remember, the law enforcement's canvassing. So they went to the Walmart and they're talking to employees, and perhaps maybe some employee that hadn't worked that day when law enforcement came. Now the call to the GBI investigator. You really don't know what tipped it. But, I mean, you and I can both guess. I think it's he who, when spoken to, accidentally let something slip. As you know, and I know both, that the worst thing to do is to talk. Just when you're a defendant.
Well, I mean, from a prosecutor's point of view and a law enforcement point of view, let's back to talk. I did find it strange. So the cashier says that she entered the Walmart, but then, Manel's car is found on the side of the road, not in the parking lot. What do you make of that?
Yeah, that's the part where I think the video surveillance may be very helpful, because there's cameras within Walmart, so we might see her here, here, and here. We're going to look for the receipts, the cashier receipts. Did she check out? Did she drive somewhere? There's a big mystery there. Or did the person that was arrested move her car once she was murdered to try to throw off investigators? And that even shows that if that is the case and it's proven, then that makes this gentleman, that case, much more difficult to defend, because it's showing intent with respect to murdering her, but then intent to cover it up. And no one can argue any kind of heat of the moment or anything like this if you went ahead and cleaned up after yourself. Makes it look much more awful.
I have to ask you about this text message, right? So Mr. Tover goes to sleep, wakes up in the next morning, sees that Nelson's not home, checks his phone, and then he sees this text message that is apparently from Nelson's phone. But of course, we don't know if it was from her, if it was from somebody else. And again, I'm going to reiterate it. I'm waiting for the brother to pick him up. I find that to be a strange aspect of that story. I don't know even what that means.
Well, I have suspicion that it will mean something because Tobe pointed it out, because it's out in the media, and because it's so bizarre. We all text amongst each other, and there are times we might text something like by accident to, I might text you when I meant to text my daughter. These things occur, but then there's context with whom I'm supposed to be texting. So I don't think that's what occurred. I think she was talking in some sort of code to try to help, that I'm in trouble here. Please help. That's how I read it. It doesn't seem right.
Mm-hmm. And by the way, going back to the car, because there's so many different aspects of the story. I don't know what I would focus on first, but the car, right? So it ends up on the side of the road, and witnesses say they saw other vehicles alongside it. You mentioned surveillance footage. What do you think's happening there? Trying to identify who those vehicles are, who is driving them, right? I imagine that's happening behind the scenes.
Yeah, and hopefully this is in a more active of the town. When you get into rural Georgia, there are parts, where roads are doing this, and there's trees, and there's houses that are far away. If it's in that part, we're not going to have too many cameras. But if it's in where the town square is, so to speak, there's going, and where Sitcos are, and where Quick Trips are, or whatever, that's what our gas stations are called down here. There could very well be some surveillance from the gas stations from residences. They're knocking on every door for the entire route. They're mapping out the route on a big board, and I kid you not, they do that, and then go and say, okay, let's see who might have video surveillance. And they run out immediately to try to get that, because all of the companies out there will recycle the video. So then sometimes it gets deleted. So that's like one of the first things they do, is to go knock on people's doors, especially residences. When we have just your basic rings, that video is going to get disappeared more quickly than, say, a commercial business. So that's step one. Step two is to run the VINs on all of those cars. Who do they belong to? And then go contact them. I mean, it's a lot of legwork, but that's what law enforcement does. And they're going to get all of this and put it into a big pile and say, okay, what do we have on this tapestry, and what is it we drawn, and what do you know? And then the key part is they've got to start getting to the point of trial, which will be 3 years from now, getting the evidence today while it's still fresh. That's the key pivotal part. And it's a lot of stress and work on law enforcement, and they usually do a really good job.
I wanted to ask you this about the fact that he might be charged with murder, right? So what are the requirements to charge somebody with murder in this kind of situation? Is it multiple charges of murder? Would they be charged with first-degree murder? Would they be charged with felony murder? So if it was killing during the course of a kidnapping? Talk to me about what we can expect there.
Yeah, it's a good question. And that is, again, down the line. Right
don't
now,
know his
they're
charge.
arresting charges. So there's going to be murder. He's going to be put in jail, and he probably won't be able to bond out because those charges are not bondable. And he can get out if he's got a great lawyer who can argue that he'll be fine on bond. It's a very with murder. It can occur, but it's a rare. I don't think he's getting out. But what you're asking is
True mad lamb. I nothing wrong with her being a hoe. I don't know why you got an apple. Why she's saying she had.
Wait a minute, who said what now? Can y'all hear me? Can you hear me?
more.
Okay, now I should be okay. I don't know what the hell just happened. This is
Oh, that was you
green.
going out. I thought it was me because I'm sitting outside.
Yeah, it was me. Just blew the shit. Just started. I said, "Oh no."
Who said something? What said something?
Man said, Good morning, truth. I didn't hear nothing. I didn't see nothing. I stick to my story, and that's all I'm going to say about last night." And I said, "I don't know why he feel the need to lie for you." And he told me my internet sucked.
Shout out to Mad. Shout out to Mad.
I know it sucked, G. It lasted for an hour and 6 minutes before it fucked up. Who you telling? I know. I done tried 37 Ethernet cords, and I just don't know, G. I don't know. And I know Wi-Fi is not going to work better than being actually plugged to the matrix. But all right, it should be back to normal.
In charge, like you said.
But yeah, I said I don't know why you trying to say you was hacked and stuff. Ain't nothing wrong with being a hoe. Fuck them folks.
Trey, I got the clip that I was hacked. I got the receipt. It's a screenshot of a blocked account. I got it. Somebody tried to hack me.
Fuck them folk. Them folk want to be hoes too. They ain't got nobody. They ain't got nobody to be a hoe with. Don't nobody want that.
You so stupid. Oh,
I'm just keeping it 100. They want to be hoes too.
I don't know who you talking about because I ain't no hoe.
You a hoe in training.
I can't believe you finally called me a hoe. They said you were gonna do that. They said you were gonna turn on me and call me out kind of hoes.
I don't know if I said it in that exact terminology. I probably did.
I'm going to bed. Listen to the clip. I'm gonna pull the road. Don't worry about it. I'm gonna pull the road, baby.
But I'm pretty sure if I did, I used it in the context of you did call me a hoe all this time, and look at you hoeing that. It was in that context. Pretty sure it was.
Me tell you, believe me.
That was the crux of my argument, though. No, she wasn't hacked. She is not hacked. They were just up there talking.
Oh, Lord have mercy.
They were trying to talk her down. They were like, "No, True, don't do it."
There wasn't nobody but a man trying to talk me down. Everybody else said, "Go for it." And
tried to talk you down.
Amanda and Flexi. Who?
Fun.
Oh yeah, Fun. Yeah, Fun, Flexi, and Amanda, I think.
I can't believe Juicy Kim said some shit too. I'm like, not the lady who fucked the delivery man. How you gonna tell her now? No. No. Y'all is crazy.
Hey, Mimi. How you, Shula? Hey, Tanya. Hey, y'all. I'm just not looking at the chat, child.
I'm still telling Destiny.
Don't do that. My children don't know that side of me. They don't know that side of me.
Stand in your truth.
They believe the stork brought them to my doorstep.
That's a damn shame.
It's a corpse. It could be the kidnapping. It could be felony murder. It could be aggravated assault. Could be aggravated battery. I mean, we don't know what does the body show? Like how was she murdered? I mean, are there bullets? Is there strangulation? Is there suffocation? I mean, we don't know those details. But when all those come,
I beg your pardon. I stand in my truth every day.
the prosecutor decides, I mean, honestly, how they're going to secure a conviction, which charges will really work. And each prosecutor's office marches to a different drummer. Some love to add ability. Okay, because then as a defense lawyer, as a juror, they're like, oh, they're guilty. They have 42 charges. Some like to just charge one. And it really is kind of a, I don't know how to describe it. Sometimes it just depends. I know that's not really a great answer, but it's the truth.
Well, let me ask you this. What about the idea of when we're going to get more information about what happened? How does the GBI usually work? How do they work in terms of releasing information about her cause of death? I'm sure the family would be notified before the general public and the media, but what can we expect and when can we expect it?
There should be a preliminary hearing scheduled at some point. I did not Google that to find out if that's been scheduled yet, but since he is arrested and he will get out on bond, there should be a preliminary hearing. That's what happens here in Georgia. Every state's different. I'm licensed in a couple states. So here in Georgia, we do a thing called a preliminary hearing, probable cause hearing, same term of art. And if the lawyer who represents him says, I want to have the preliminary hearing, we love those because we can then do like information gathering.
Defense attorneys love it.
Yes, we love those because we're able to, and I won't say bend the rules, but I try my hardest to limit the discovery right then and there. So I'll ask the detective, video, audio, these kinds of things, and I get them to limit themselves on formal testimony so that then when I go back to trial 3 years later, I can cross-examine and impeach him on what he said earlier on. I know I'm getting too intricate here, but it is one of my favorite things to do. And in my career, I wish we had more of them, but you know, it is what it is. With that said, sometimes we waive them. And that seems to be more the norm today, so it won't happen. So you're asking, when will we get information? If prelims had, we're going to get some good data, some information, some hows, wheres, and what's.
Why would someone waive it?
Don't waive the preliminary hearing for bond. Take it.
Well, a lot of times, not necessarily murder, but other cases a little lower, we waive it because the prosecutor holds it against us. I'm just giving my personal opinion. I'm very sympathetic to prosecution, as you have heard. That they'll waive, we will waive it because they'll say, I'll let your guy in bond if you waive the prelim. Okay, fine, waive it. I mean, easy breezy. In murder cases, sometimes we may waive it if there's something else going on with the prosecutor. We kind of agree this is the better way of doing it. And so it's behind the scenes, another strategic decision on whether or not to waive it.
Well, talking about behind the scenes, I'll let everybody know the GBI is still seeking answers in this case. They're urging anybody with information to contact their tip line. So we're going to put the number on the screen there for you in case you have any information. And you can also submit any tips on.
All right, white boy. Next one. Teacher got student high to rape him, then confessed her love. This story is from a day ago. I don't know how old the story
teacher claims she's in love with a former student who she allegedly had a relationship with for more than a year. What's worse, the student was only 13 years old when all of this is said to have started.
13!
She's now taking out the boy's high school, boarding him to her car with drugs and raping him there. On other occasions, she allegedly raped him in her own classroom. Prosecutors now say she left her husband for the boy, claiming she's willing to go to jail for the teenager, even calling the student.
And you finna take you going to jail. You for sure. She left her husband for a 13-year-old boy.
Her version of crystal meth. It's a shocking case. I'll say she left her husband for the boy, claiming she's willing to go to jail for the teenager, calling the student her version of crystal meth. It's a shocking case with a lot happening all around. So we'll hear from criminal defense attorney and former sex crimes prosecutor Kathleen Bogenschutz to try to make sense of it all. I'm Sierra Gillespie, and this is Law and Crime News. This type of case is unfortunately one we cover pretty regularly here on Law and Crime. A teacher abusing their position of authority and allegedly sexually assaulting one of their students. But this case is more intense than the others. Here's the defendant, 43-year-old Colleen Jo Marico. She's
Hispanic. 43 on 13. Now, I just got to point out, in the men's prison, it's kind of a known thing. You fuck a child you're not gonna last long in there. Does that happen in the women prisons? Do they like off the women predators that come in there? Are they cool? I'm just asking because I've never heard that stereotype about what happens to women molesters and things of that nature. Truth, you got any insight on that? Have you ever heard these stories? Maybe not, because I don't think I can. James, you ever heard of this? Do they fuck the women sex offenders up in female prison? Nobody gonna answer me. All right then. Oh, okay. I have no idea. I've never been to prison. Damn, his dick isn't even finished growing. He probably just started getting hurt on his penis, Leah. Most women in the prison usually have something to do with kids. So, but do they kill them though? Like, cause we know they kill child molesters in the men prison. They gonna fuck you up. Do they fuck the women up do they fuck the women up in a women's jail? Or are they serve their time with no problems and come on home? I'm just curious.
Held in jail right now on a pretty sizable bond, but before her arrest, she was a special ed teacher at John Burroughs Middle School in Los Angeles.
And she was fucking, she a goddamn special ed teacher, so she fucking a retired 13-year-old boy. Man, it ain't nothing gonna happen to this woman. Come on, Sonya.
Bitch, what did you What did you just say?
This lady was fucking a retired 13-year-old. I said,
Oh my
ain't nothing
God.
gonna happen to her.
You not supposed to
She
use that word.
43, he's 13.
Oh my God.
Well, they say, okay, well, special ed student.
Special
Because she a
needs.
special ed teacher.
Special
Well,
needs.
they say special ed. I don't know what his special needs is. So is he special education?
Oh God. Jesus.
Ain't nobody, they ain't gonna do nothing to her, Leah. I have never heard that. I ain't never heard they gonna fuck her up in prison. If it was a guy on a girl, I would have heard that before. I'd be like, you absolutely correct. Who gonna fuck her up?
The defendant, 43-year-old Colleen Rico. She's being held in jail right now on a pretty sizable bond, but before her arrest, she was a special ed teacher at John Burroughs Middle School in Los Angeles. Also note, Rico is married and the mother of 2 children. Prosecutors say she got wind of the investigation into her illegal conduct last year, and instead of backing down, she became more severe. That's when she apparently went to the victim's high school, gave him some marijuana, and then forced him to have sex in his car. That incident happened just this year, but investigators say the relationship started long before. Most of their sexual...
Okay, come back and say 13 with a car, and in high school, he ain't retarded then.
Were allegedly between...
This just been going on about 4 years. I ain't been watching no damn prison movies. That is what they say. They say you fuck with a kid, the man, they gonna fuck you up in prison. Damn, this is no. Google it. Google it.
August and November of 2023. Investigators believe Rico started by grooming this student, eventually convincing him to have sex with her in her classroom. According to the Los Angeles County District Attorney's Office, Rico took advantage of a position of trust as a teacher to commit these offenses. The boy was just 13 when all this started, but some of these alleged incidents happened after he turned 14 too. The school was...
So this is what I'm confused. Is he 14 now? Was he 13 then? He's 17 now. Is her age 43 or has she aged? I'm confused. Are they giving her correct age now in the age with him that it started?
To this alleged abuse in October 2023. And that's when the Los Angeles Police Department...
How would they know their person charged because the guards be snitching. They ask for paperwork. It may have been a big local trial, big national trial, just things of that nature. Newspapers. But yeah, that pretty much when the people coming in, they already know what you in for. How the prisons be knowing. I don't know, but they also have these things called paperwork parties. And I think you have to participate. I don't think it's like you're like, nah, I'm good. I think you have to participate or else. And so yeah, that's how they be known. But the guards snitch though. The guards definitely tell.
And Juvenile Division began the investigation. The middle school released a statement reading, quote, once cleared by the Los Angeles Police Department to notify the school community, a notification was sent to these allegations. District protocols are being followed, and we remain in cooperation with local authorities. Due to the ongoing investigation by law enforcement, we are unable to disclose additional details about this matter. Please be assured that the safety of our students continues to be our utmost priority. Students and the greater school community are always encouraged to share any and all concerns with their school or local authorities. We remain committed to supporting Borough's MS, meaning middle school, and the greater school community with counseling and support services. We understand that some students may be impacted by this incident. Students can always reach out to teachers, counselors, or school staff for support. Hey, if you're out and about running errands while you're listening to this video, listen
Hell
details about Madarico's and one felony count of furnishing a controlled Rico was ultimately charged with 5 felony counts of lewd act upon a child under age 14, 2 more felony counts of lewd act upon a child age 14 and 15, and 1 felony count of furnishing a controlled substance to a minor. She pleaded not guilty to these
went
charges
about 3
and appeared in
years.
court just this week. That's
From
when prosecutors
13 to
revealed
15.
even more shocking details about Madarico's alleged conduct. After her arrest, prosecutors say Madarico didn't have any remorse. Instead, she said she was willing to go to jail for this boy and even left her husband because she was so obsessed with the student. This is the part where prosecutors
That nigga left her.
compared the boy to a drug, saying he is Madarico's form of crystal meth. Prosecutors argued that if she was released on bond, the boy would then be in danger. This to Instagram DMs when Madarico had apparently reached out to the boy's friend in hopes of getting in contact with him. A public defender is the one representing Madarico and pointing to her clean criminal record at this hearing, suggesting she should be released. A judge ultimately set Madarico's bond to $590,000, saying that if Madarico puts up the bond, she'll still be subjected to GPS monitoring. Meanwhile, the case is still under investigation, as LAPD officials believe there could be even more victims. If that's true, Madarico could face even more charges. Okay, one thing's for sure about this case, the allegations are pretty disturbing. So to try to make sense of that, we've got to turn to criminal defense attorney Kathleen Bogenschutz. Kathleen, thank you for coming on with us today.
Good to be here. Thanks for having me.
So something that stood out to me right away, this actually was mentioned by the LA County District Attorney, that this teacher abused her position of power. She took advantage of a student. She's supposed to be an authority that they can trust. Is that something you agree with?
Yeah, absolutely. In fact, there's even some states, including my state of Florida, that have created these new statutes that have criminalized being in that position of authority. So even if a student was 18 and a teacher, turned 18 sometime in senior year and starts having some kind of a relationship with the teacher, anywhere outside of the school, that would be technically legal, although depending on the age difference, we might all frown on it. There would be nothing to prosecute, but that's criminalized in and of itself. But here we've got a giant age gap. We've got a middle schooler, we've got a position of authority, and I even read that in one place that she continued the relationship even after she knew there was an investigation going on.
Yeah, that's actually accurate. What investigators have said, that she kind of got wind of this investigation and she held down. She still continued to talk to this student and actually went to his high school and allegedly had sex with him outside in a car. She said she's in love with this student. She said she'll leave her husband for him. She's obsessed. I don't know. What do you make of all that?
No, I mean, at some point she mentioned that this was her crystal meth in the messages. And one of the things that I'm not a scientist.
Has he done crystal meth?
Sometimes I feel on TV or in a courtroom because we do expert witnesses. And one thing that some of my experts have pointed out is that the same like dopamine receptors that things like cocaine and meth and stuff like that light up in the brain also light up when you're in love. And for some people, like if you're eating a food you terribly enjoy, they do light up the same receptors. And for me, I mean, she's 43 years old. She's a mother. She's got kids that are the same age as this victim, or at least fairly close to it. One of the things that I would be considering if I was representing her is the whole works, head to toes, for medical as well as psych evals, because to just suddenly
what it do,
kinds of risks at age 43, you don't go out and start committing crimes at 43. That's not what you see when you're a prosecutor. I was a prosecutor for 12 years. You see crimes beginning like late teens, early 20s, and for somebody to just take a turn like this at 43 leads you to believe that there's something else going on in her life, or that stuff has happened in the past that maybe has either not been reported or caught.
So let's talk about the starting of this crime, because as you said, she's 3 years old at this time, and the student was 13. I just am always wondering, how does something like this even get started? I mean, you go to school, there's your teacher, that's the relationship that you have, but then apparently she started grooming this student. So how does it jump from student teacher to now she says she's allegedly in love with him?
Yeah, and grooming is the word that we use. So 8 of the 12 years that I was a prosecutor, I did sex crimes, not did them, but prosecuted them, obviously. But it starts by almost moving the goalposts. That's the way I always used to describe it to a jury. Well, I can cross the line, or I can kind of tiptoe closer to the line, maybe confide in the student more than I would confide in a normal student, speak to that student like they're an adult, meet them after class, do things that are a little bit outside the normal teacher stuff. And as the student doesn't act uncomfortable, as the student seems to be enjoying it, as the student really enjoys, being a teacher's pet or a special friend of the teacher, you kind of move the goalposts a little bit further. So whether it is intentional, whether somebody is a true predator and is thinking their way through, moving the goalposts, or whether it's just something that happens, I don't know. But that is generally the trajectory that you take pieces. It's you move it, like, see how much further you can go, and nobody reports it. And then you take another step across the line, and then you take another step across the line. And unfortunately, when we're talking about a middle schooler and a middle school teacher, you have fairly unfettered access to the child during school hours. So, I mean, I'm not trying to freak out all the parents, but it does make sense to me, and I'm a parent as well, as to how this could occur.
Yeah, you're right. They do have crazy access to the students because they're seeing them all the time. And actually, this school was the scene of at least one of these alleged instances. Apparently, she had sex with the student in her classroom, and then a different time in her vehicle out high school. To me, that's pretty brazen, to say the least.
Right, and I think about like a middle school schedule more so than an elementary school schedule. Middle school and high school, you've got free periods as students. You're not moving around with the same class of kids. Everybody's got different schedules. It's easier to do that if you were somebody that was inclined to do that. And really, the insidious nature of that is doing things in the classroom. You can go back to people like Deborah LaFave, who's another one of our famous Floridian teachers. She was diagnosed, I mean, she was younger than this teacher, I think at the time. She was in her 20s, but she was, I think, post-crime diagnosed with bipolar disorder. And that was something that, while does not excuse the crime, it does make a lot of sense because there's this risk-taking behavior that's associated with mania. And that's what I said. If I was representing her, first thing, you're going in for a psychopath. I mean, it's possible that you have a predator here. It's also possible that there's a lot of mental health that's teased in here, especially if she's saying, I'll leave my husband for you and love her entire life for this 13-year-old. It's shades of Mary Kay Letourneau as well, who had 4 children, husband, and left all of them.
Yeah, I'm glad that you brought up Mary Kay Letourneau because there are significant parallels in the two cases. The fact that she allegedly fell in love with the student and then she went on to marry that student and have children with him. She says in this case, the 13-year-old, now 14-year-old, she would leave her husband for. She's willing to go to jail for him, which is something Mary Kay Letourneau did, served her time, and then got with the student afterward and married him. I mean, do you think that's possible in this case?
As a former prosecutor on these cases, if she's willing to go to jail for it, that can be arranged. It sounds
She
like
definitely going to jail.
Here. There's text messages, evidence that you wouldn't have from like back in the 90s with Mary Kay Letourneau. They were actually caught in the act. But here you've got these like text messages between them. You've got transcripts of conversations, and I'm assuming that she's home with her kids and texting them at the same time. That's a secondary thrill that you can have when you're not with him. These messages are just going to be absolutely devastating. Frankly, I think that the state should probably, their main goal should probably be to keep her in custody until he's at least 18.
I'm wondering about those text messages because to me,
Oh yeah, I'm definitely watching the fight tonight.
This information out because she knows that people.
I got my money on Tyson.
Look through your call log.
Tyson was gonna kill Roy Jones.
So it's all black and white right there for prosecutors to say, hey, on this date at the time, here's what you said. You guys met up. I mean, is that invaluable for your case?
Absolutely, especially because look, I haven't met this kid, and hopefully his identity is kept private. But a lot of times when you've got these like preteens and teenagers in relationships with older people, they're convinced that they're in love. And they've got very strong feelings of infatuation for this person. Sometimes they're not particularly cooperative, particularly at the beginning. As they start getting older, I've found in my having literally hundreds of these cases in the past, as time passes and the student or the victim gets a little bit older, and then they're 17 and they're looking at 13-year-olds and they're like, oh God, that was me. And I've seen some really fast 180s on that after a couple of years have passed with victims. But a lot of times, like, they're not being particularly cooperative. Having their messages back and forth with at least there's something that you can put into evidence that indicates what occurred if they're refusing to testify.
Talking about testimony, it's interesting you brought that up because she did plead not guilty to these crimes. So if she does go to trial eventually, it's possible that prosecutors would reach out to the student and say, hey, will you go on the stand? What would all of that look like in the way of getting the information they need from him without re-victimizing him?
That's always the balancing test for a prosecutor. My state has Marcy's Law. It went into effect in early 2019. It means that you need to take the victim's wishes into consideration. But if the victim is under 18 and is still a child, it's kind of a balancing act that has to occur there, because the kid might be saying, I don't want to testify, I'm in love, I want to marry her and run off with her into the sunset on a white horse, and the parents want her dead. I'm assuming it's almost like a mediation type of a process where you separate the child from the parents in the state's office, and you try to talk through exactly, and then you go to your supervisors and you round table with the prosecutors trying to decide, can you put this kid on the stand? What's going to happen if you do that? You maybe role play with the kid in your office. You try to develop as much of a rapport as humanly possible as a prosecutor, trying to see what's going to go. What's going to happen here. What I don't know what the exact contents of these messages are. If the defendant is stating, yes, I did go have sex with him, and then someone caught them in a room together with the lights off, and maybe you can sometimes cobble together the evidence that you need for a conviction without putting the victim on the stand.
And now we know we have this one victim, but the prosecutors are saying there could be more. She could face additional charges because investigators say, hey, if you experience this with your children, come forward. Do you think that's possible in this case? I know you mentioned it earlier. She has a clean criminal record before all of this. Is it possible that she just didn't get caught before?
She didn't get caught. It wasn't reported. Something was reported, and it was, this is like boys telling stories out of school about their hot teacher or something like that, which, you know, boys are middle school boys. And it's something that maybe was not investigated to the extent it could have been.
I don't think it was nobody else because she was willing to leave her husband for this one here.
My question as a defense attorney, because it does seem like they've got some fairly good evidence that something did occur here and it was very wrong, is this a pattern, or what happened in her life at age 43 that, you know, after being a teacher for, I'm assuming, about 20 years, that made her just drive the car off the cliff? And why this kid? And in a lot of cases, like, for example, with Mary Kay Letourneau, I actually read all the books about her because I was a sex crimes prosecutor and I was very interested in all of this. It turned out that she had a younger brother that drowned in a pool, and her family blamed her for the brother's death. Her father had some kind of a sex scandal as a politician and was a very conservative right wing. So there were all kinds of little micro traumas in her. I don't think that the death of her brother's a micro trauma, but there's all these things that were swirling around her as far as and then you added the mental health aspect of it, because she ended up being diagnosed, I think, as bipolar as well, prior to being sentenced to prison. So, while it doesn't excuse it, maybe it explains why somebody might wake up in their late 30s, their early 40s, and suddenly do something that is just so out of character.
That will be interesting to see what the defense comes up with. And that kind of leads into my next question, because you pointed out that her team will likely look through her medical history, mental health history, but how will they still defend it? I mean, even if she had some sort of mental health issues that she was going through, she had to know that it was wrong ethically, but also illegal to have sex with a kid who's 13.
Right. I mean, it's such a high standard. I'm not talking about an insanity defense. An insanity defense is you are so out of it that you don't even know what you're doing is wrong. I mean, she is a middle school teacher in a middle school classroom with a 13-year-old. I think it would be very difficult to make that argument from a defense perspective. What I'm talking about is mitigation and maybe some kind of an explanation for the behavior. I'm not saying that somebody can't just wake up one day and decide to go off the rails. Usually there's something that you can point to. When we're talking about relationships with children that are underage, most states have what's called a strict liability way of proving a case. But strict liability means that so long as it occurs and the state proves that you did it, it doesn't matter why, it doesn't matter about mistake. If it happened, you're guilty. So, and I could give you the example in the past of one of my colleagues had a case where an 18-year-old boy, or young man, I guess, was at a teen club, so it was up to age 19, or pre-21-year-old, and apparently had a relationship with an 11-year-old.
What the fuck?
Afterward, and was informed that he had sex with an 11-year-old, and he threw up immediately. And it's very difficult to feign that, but the problem is that, strict liability, you just committed a capital sexual battery in the state of Florida. So we all had to kind of roundtable, what's the appropriate punishment here? Does this person need to register as sex offender if this girl lying to him about her age? But it basically takes away, strict liability takes away the defense of, she said she was 18. It puts the onus on you as the adult to figure out how old this person is before you have any kind of physical relationship with them. And that was kind of the legislative intent, as I understand it, behind making these crimes strict liability offenses.
I think the bottom line in this case is there are some pretty concerning allegations here. But Kathleen, thank you for helping us understand a bit more about the case and the charges.
Next to last one, TikTok teacher allegedly sexually assaults students before quitting.
You might remember her as the teacher who went viral for rap to celebrate swimming back after COVID. You know I am unreachable. I'm number one in your top. The years after that video was released, the rapping teacher faces serious charges of sexually assaulting a student. Adriana Cobb Williams was arrested
Well,
for
damn.
2 counts of sexual assault by teacher last December. And the former teacher slash content creator has been out on bond since, but this week pleaded not guilty to the shocking crime. After the allegations came to light, the fallout was swift. According to WALB, Williams was placed on administrative leave about a week prior to her arrest. Then she resigned from her position within the Dougherty County school system in lieu of termination just 4 days prior to being arrested. Months later, in August of this year, Williams was indicted by a grand jury. And the grand jury indictment would reveal more of the troubling and disturbing allegations. Under count 1, Williams is accused of knowingly kissing the student. And under count 2, Williams is accused of knowingly performing oral sex on the same student. According to court papers, one of the alleged incidents happened between November 1st and November 30th of last year. And the second alleged incident occurred on December 2nd. Both incidents involved the same student who was senior in Grove Comprehensive School where Williams was a teacher. And while Williams was known for her wholesome content,
We are not going to play musical chairs. What is the race already? Scarcity. Why? How? What? Chair. What the chair represent?
she's facing a decades-long sentence behind bars. And here's what else we know about the former teacher. According to her LinkedIn, she was a teacher at Monroe Comprehensive School within the Dougherty County school system in Albany, Georgia, from July 2017 up until her resignation last year in December. After she tendered her resignation, the school district released a statement writing, quote, "The Dougherty County Board of Education voted unanimously to accept the resignation of John Williams in lieu of termination, with the understanding that the district will submit the appropriate reports to the Georgia Professional Standards Commission." While there, she was also the cheerleading coach and featured some of her students and cheerleaders in social media videos that racked up hundreds of thousands of views on TikTok. But since she resigned amid the sexual assault allegations, her content has made a turn, now featuring videos of her husband and their young child as she seemingly rebranded as a family blogger. And despite facing serious charges and accusations, the former teacher, now content creator, hasn't slowed down from posting videos. But she might want to lay low. Cobb Williams faces up to 10 years in prison if convicted on each count. Let's bring on criminal defense attorney Kathleen Bogenschutz to break down this.
Bogenschutz is back.
Thank you so much for joining me today. You know, Adriana Cobb Williams went viral for her rap video welcoming the kids back to school during the times of COVID. Was it shocking to you to hear that she is charged with sexually assaulting a student?
I think it's shocking to hear any teacher would be charged with it. Shocking, but not surprising considering the news of recent years. And it's no longer terribly surprising that it's a female teacher.
I think her victim in this case is 18. So what are they getting her for, like the abuse of authority figure? Well, it says sexual assault. Let's see if they go into detail.
It's just when you go through the videos she made and how much
She
time
kissed him and gave him head.
Students, you know, as a former prosecutor, like it's clear that the opportunity was there. It's just the betrayal of a teacher actually taking advantage of that opportunity.
And, you know, the allegations are pretty disturbing, especially given her online persona, her upbeat personality that she portrays on social media. But she's accused of, you know, sexual contact, kissing the student, sexual contact again, performing oral sex on the same student. What are your thoughts on just the nature of the disturbing allegations she faces while still kind of portraying this persona on social media?
So just a little bit of history. A lot of these laws have changed even in the past 10 to 15 years. About 10 or 11 years ago, I started in sex crimes, and I'm in Florida, but a lot of states have changed their laws, and Georgia has done so as well, to include 18-year-old students in this, in that it is also a crime to have any kind of sexual contact with an 18-year-old, just as much as the crime has sexual contact with a 17-year-old. And one of the elements of that offense is that you are in a position of authority over
I
that
figured
student,
that's what it was going to
and
be.
that student attends your high school. So when I say we, former prosecutors and my old unit, we used to get in teachers that were having consensual relationships with 18-year-olds they were teaching, and there wasn't a way to go after them. So they kind of tighten up those laws. You could try to go after, oh, it's a familial or custodial relationship, but then if they weren't in the class, if there's another teacher at the school, they had them in the past, there's no way to go after somebody like this. So you'll see in this indictment that they refer to a, quote, 12th grader, and they never refer to the student's age in it.
But they said
Some 12th
18.
graders
I
made
caught
it
it.
the nature of how we divided grades in the US. Most 12th graders will turn 18 during that school year, and some, especially considering the pandemic and students being left back and stuff like that, might even turn 19 during their last year of high school.
And, you know, as we continue to live on social media, for a lot of us, and we see people like Williams, who was an influencer, for her in particular, she posted about, you know, her children that she coached and taught. Then it kind of turned into family blogging in a way. Do you think that there was a problem at all of how close she was to her students, or even that she was oversharing her students on social media?
I think that is something that the school board and she and the parents are all going to have to grapple with in the coming days. I've certainly seen plenty of teachers put their students on social media, and I mean, there's a point to the argument that she's kind of meeting them where they are. I mean, when she first went viral, it was the height of the pandemic. It was the summer of 20, going back to school, and you know, kids have been home since, and they're really interacting with each other only virtually. And I mean, that's a great way to meet students where they are and interact with them, get them excited to come back to school when you maybe haven't had the kind of attendance that you would look for online or virtually. And I'll also tell you that Albany, Georgia is kind of a more rural area too. So to get students into the school and get them back into the school, I mean, that's a fantastic idea, in my opinion. The problem with that is when you blur the line as to who's the teacher and who's the student. And she's also apparently was also the cheerleading coach, which explains her moves, right? I mean, she's an excellent dancer, but it also kind of lends itself to a more collegial relationship with students than a teacher who is absolutely in charge. So I'm not an administrator, I don't make policy, but I think this is something we need to grapple with.
Yeah, it's kind of a sticky situation given that it's kind of the new normal, just a little bit. And then just going further into her social media, normally when former teachers face these types of accusations, they stay off social media or wipe it clean altogether. But are you surprised she continues to post on platforms like Instagram and TikTok? Do you think in a way maybe she's just not?
Absolutely not. She's still posting because that's how she's making her money now that she doesn't have the teaching income.
Taking the allegations seriously?
I don't know. I am assuming her lawyer probably wants her to stop doing that. And were I retained to represent her, granted I can't because I'm not licensed in Georgia, but were I retained to represent her, I would tell her to stop and to take everything down and go extremely low profile. Because like I said, this is a relatively smaller town in Georgia. We're looking at potentially picking jurors out of this town, and we need you to not be the TikTok teacher where every juror knows who you are when they walk in. So I mean, I'm looking over here. I have a couple of extra screens over here. That's just the way I've set up my office. And to look at, there's a lot of like, I don't know, attention seeking kind of poses, stuff like that. And it's effective. I mean, it would make you want to click on it. Another thing that has kind of come to the forefront is a lot of teachers, particularly a lot of female teachers that engage in this kind of behavior, that sometimes there's a mental health issue that has not been.
There she go again with the mental health.
Diagnosed.
You just gave the last one with the 13-year-old mental health.
On Google and find out that Deborah LaFig was.
You just used the 43-year-old and the 13-year-old is mental health. You can't use the however old she is, and the 18-year-old on the same. Granted, it's her as an authority figure abusing her power, but they got an uphill battle with this one. I don't view this case as the last one. It's still her as his teacher should be doing it. Shouldn't be doing it. Not just students. Just they're crazy.
Diagnosed with bipolar disorder after her whole thing came up. And there's been several other features. Bipolar disorder, one of the features is impulsiveness and hypersexuality. I'm not excusing it.
I bet if they do some digging, this nigga she did this to is probably an athlete that she see some dollars. She saw some dollar signs that are guaranteed.
But when you see somebody that is this into their job, this into their family,
How did they find out? I wonder. They didn't say.
Did something snap? And I'm not saying she shouldn't be punished. I just want to make that part clear.
She
But
ain't meant.
there's
You can't give her mental health. 17, 16, 15, 14, 13, out there. I will give you that. 18. She went at somebody. She felt like legally she wasn't breaking any statutory limits or any of that. But as they said, they tightened up laws or whatever, like make it illegal to, if you're a teacher, don't matter how old the motherfuckers are, they could be 19. You ain't supposed to be fucking them.
where I represented her, I probably have to do a full mental health evaluation as well.
She said the same thing for the other lady.
Might give Williams a plea deal.
She getting a plea deal.
So a lot of these kinds of charges, and I'll give you an example. So I used to be in a very large state attorney's office in Broward County. So we had about 15 sex crimes prosecutors. We were all specialized for sex crimes. That's all we did in that unit. And we'd sit around at lunch and be a sex offender or do 5 years in prison. And every single person at the table picked prison. And then 5 in prison, how about 10 years in prison? A sex offender do 10 years in prison. And most people at the table pick prison. So that's my example for, we try these cases quite often over the designation. It's not that we couldn't come to a plea deal with
They would rather do prison because they know they ain't gonna get fucked up.
Conditions, but the designation is in my state for the rest of your life. You can petition to be off of it in 25 years, which is an incredibly long period of time, but you have to be completely compliant with it for 25 years. So that means you have to register perfectly with no slip-ups and not be charged with any other offenses over that period of time. And then you've got residency restrictions. The fact you have to register either 2 or 4 times a year on your birthday and on the anniversary or 6 month opposite your birthday. There's a lot of things that you have to do to be a sex offender. So it would not shock me if they went to trial simply over the designation if the state is not willing to drop the designation as part of a plea deal.
Now, say in the off chance you do get your Georgia's criminal defense attorney license a little bit, and you are Adriana's attorney, what type of defense are you going to be in this case?
Well, you know, as an attorney, you have to work with what you're given. There's quite a bit that's out here. I think the first thing I would do is watch every single video that she has and try to talk to her about taking some of these down. And also I wonder if there isn't some kind of mental health component.
Take down videos is not a defense. Mental health is off the table as well. She ain't crazy.
For somebody that seems to be this invested in her students and this invested in her school, and then seemingly out of nowhere, I know there's been other things in the past, but seemingly out of nowhere, this shining star does this thing that she knows to be wrong and is, you know, has completely blown up her life. And then to continue posting about her family on social media after being indicted is another, like, it I don't know, I'll date myself.
She brand switched.
Yeah, or all things that make you go, So that's what's kind of itching at the back of my brain. I don't know that, but that would be my first move, is to have her evaluated and then go to the prosecutor with those results.
That sucks. See, that's her defense for everybody. Mental evaluation shit.
And in your opinion, when these cases come up, I always go to the victim and how the alleged victims
The first defense would be, Your Honor, my client had sex with the 18-year-old. I get it. She was his teacher. She understands she was wrong. She didn't actually commit a crime. If we go to trial, that's why I tell the prosecutor too. Like, come on, what do we do? Can we probation something? We get it. She's not a teacher anymore. She don't want to see. That's part of her punishment. She's not going to teach in Georgia anymore. Shit like that. That's what I would say at trial and or tell the prosecutor as I'm negotiating this.
feeling throughout all of this. What, in your opinion, do you think that the victim is feeling throughout all of this, seeing that one, they were allegedly taken advantage of by their teacher, and now their teacher kind of is, in a way, acting as if nothing serious really happened? What are your thoughts on how the student is feeling throughout all of this?
So students that are involved in these cases are often ostracized by their peers. While their names are not used, there's protections in the law to protect the identity of sex offender, of sex crime victims. But everybody at the school knows who it is. I will bet you anything. Everyone at the school knows what student it was. Everybody knows what teacher. Everybody knows what the allegations are. And when there's these kinds of salacious allegations, the rumor mill can explode. And this is a relatively, I would say, this is a relatively small town. So it would not shock me if the student decided to move somewhere else. Now, granted, they're at 12th grade, there's college on the horizon, but I have to imagine that the rest of their senior year was incredibly unpleasant.
And say that, for instance, the student was 18. Do you think William just on her head that I'm not doing anything wrong? What I'm doing is not illegal. Do you think that she had some type of, answer to what she allegedly was doing?
I don't know. I can't get in someone's head that does this. Any teacher would know this is wrong. It would certainly be immoral, if not illegal.
That's subjective to it being immoral.
The student was 18.
Because 18-year-old student, an 18-year-old student in a couple months will be in college where they're going to have access to 90% women that are older than them. It's going to be a nice freshman class coming in, but then it's still the sophomores, juniors, and seniors, plus the professors. Nobody's going to judge the 18-year-old for sleeping with a 22-year-old or 20-year-old senior. It's not going to happen. They ain't going to judge her either. It's crazy. It's a crazy little paradigm that we forget about and stuff. That's when the 18-year-olds be having the most sex in these fraternities and sororities with most people older than them.
She might have thought it was technically not a crime, but it would technically also get her teaching license revoked. So for somebody, I just, when someone risks this much, I think we're going to find out some things in the coming days, some kind of explanation.
I don't think they have a strong case against her. This ain't like the other.
I don't have a crystal ball. I don't want to praise Williams before she has the defense out there, but if you're asking me my opinion, I think there may be something else that we're unaware of.
No.
If you're watching, take that down.
My theory is this nigga is an athlete or something and got a lot of scholarships, and we live in the day and time where they got the likeness, image, and stuff, NIL, name, image, likeness. that these kids are making millions of dollars off of as freshmen and shit of that nature. I think that's what it was. She tried to throw that puss on him. But they said she gave him head and kissed him. That's what she being charged with. Sexual. I guess it's sexual assault. Maybe it was unwanted. So that's the only way I can see her being charged with sexual assault. They didn't throw the whatever it is by an authority figure, none of that.
And we do cover a lot of these types of cases here at Law and Crime. A teacher who happens to be married, they appear as a favorite teacher, or they're super close with their students, then they're accused of this type of crime. What's your message to parents and even schools for potential warning signs to look out for?
So adolescents by their nature push boundaries. That's what they do. And it's up to the adults around them to make sure those boundaries are firm. In order to prevent these kinds of things, you have to think about what you need in order for this to happen. What you need is privacy, and you need the assurance that no one's going to say anything. So encouraging communication, dialogue with students is number one. And number two, if only to protect everybody, why not just have two adults in the room at all times when, or two adults present for cheerleading practice, a coach and an assistant coach. And I hate to put it that way, it's where we are as a society, but you should be able to trust your kids' teachers. And if you feel like you can't, another adult in the room is probably a good way to protect them.
It's a lot to unpack here, and I'm sure we'll see more information kind of come out in the near future. Kathleen, I want to thank you so much for coming on today and giving your analysis. Before we sign you off, though, is there anything else you'd like to add about this case?
Oh, I mean, I just think it's incredibly sad. Her wedding website is still up. There's a small child involved. She's put her young son on social media too. I would hope that she takes these things down and tries to focus on defending this case and parenting her child.
If it's sexual assault, I believe it was unwanted. I don't think he wanted her to do it. Last story. Mother pushed 1-year-old out of car over spilled shampoo.
We begin with a follow-up on a story we first brought to you last week after witnesses say they saw a woman throw her 1-year-old child out of a moving car.
Hold on, y'all. I gotta take a call.
These things happened in the car before the young girl was picked up by a Good Samaritan. NBC6's Lena Charlesbank has the new details from court.
It's really just heartbreaking. The more details we learn about this case, that woman was arrested on Friday in Miramar and then extradited back here to Miami-Dade. She faces charges of child abuse and child neglect. Dusty Mills stood before Judge Wednesday just 5 days after law enforcement issued a be on the lookout for the 29-year-old and her 1-year-old child.
Charge you with 2 counts of child abuse, one count of child abuse, no great bodily harm, and 1 count of child neglect. No.
The Florida missing child alert was issued after witnesses say they saw Mills toss 1-year-old out of a moving car on Northwest 37th Avenue, Northwest 54th Street in Hialeah last Thursday.
Child had grabbed a lot of her face and I think blood on her head.
According to the arrest warrant, a witness who was in the passenger seat at the time of the incident told detectives this all happened after the baby spilled shampoo in the back seat of the car.
So she pushed the victim out of the car because she spilled shampoo in the car, and after that, after hitting her.
The report says the baby cried, Bill got angry, opened the door, and pushed her out. Come here. Oh my God. As witnesses rushed to help the child, moments later, 2 cars pulled up and surveillance video shows Mills returning to the scene and violently taking the child back from the woman who's trying to help. Detectives say they tried to get Mills to return to the scene and get the child medical attention, but she failed to do so.
The judge did give Mills, and she will be allowed to get out of jail. However, she
Bond.
is away from her child. For now, reporting in Miami-Dade, Lena Salzbank, NBC6 News.
Why she get burned? Well, all right, y'all. That's all I got. True! Do she have life with y'all? That's all I was going to ask her. I don't know if she got one scheduled, but if she do, I see y'all over there in next episode. Yeah. Never been a hoe, I stay on go, so what the business? Nigga talking reckless, shoot his bitch ass with the quickness. Now he bleeding, sorry, begging, asking for forgiveness. Bow, 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 limp biscuit. All my niggas wildin', they done labeled us a misfit. Wake up every morning, 2 or 3, 5 in the Fitbit. Oh shit, didn't nobody come to see you old, it's some focus. Shoot 100 shots, no reloaded. Master of the game, you would think I'm into coded. Memphis niggas spit this pimpin', mackin' like I'm golden. Ho, with my money, you gon' turn me to the old me. Stay high, first class flight, I'm in the nosebleed. Pop it, cook it, whip it, ship it till you count the proceeds. OG, I've been moving back niggas since 03. Low key, niggas hating, but they don't want no beef. State gang, true sippers, bitch, I bet we gon' eat. Get jammed, get a lawyer, make it bunny, don't speak. Pour up, oh, I need some more. A nigga had a long week. Shout out to my plug, he showed me love, he out in Long Beach. I'm too geek. Walking by myself, but left with 2 freaks. Ooh, we nothing in they mouth and on they booty. Austin Power swag, yeah, baby, this is groovy. You can call me Money Boy, or you can call me Nudie. Hood niggas, churches, chicken, let me get a 2-piece. Top down, 2-seater, let me feel the 2 breathe. Gotta hold it steady, chopper, kick it back like Bruce Lee. Lately I've been in the zone, I guess I'm in my 2-3. Don't call my phone for nothing less than a QP. Feeling like the Migo, cause my bitch is bad and bougie. All my haters love me, all these bitches is some groupies. Came a long way, I like to introduce the new me. Standing on business like I'm king or like I'm Drewski. Call me Ron Island, cause I like my love for choosy. When we link, it's a movie. She bustin' like a Uzi. I love the way she do me. I beat it up like Uzi. She dancing just like Suki. Call me Ron Island, cause I love my love for choosy. When we link, it's a movie. She bustin' like a Uzi. I love the way she do me. I beat it up like Uzi. She dancing just like Suki. I never been a hoe, I stay on go, so what the business? Nigga talking reckless, shoot his bitch ass with the quickness. Name pleading, sorry, baby, asking for forgiveness. Bow, 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 limp biscuit. Never been a hoe, I stay on go, so what the business? Nigga talking reckless, shoot his bitch ass with the quickness. Name pleading, sorry, baby, asking for forgiveness. Bow, 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 limp biscuit.